The world's top business leaders, politicians, intellectuals, and journalists are meeting in Davos, Switzerland for this year's World Economic Forum. The theme this year is called The New Global Context, and much of the discussions over the next 3 days will center on business matters. But the crisis in Ukraine and Russia's aggression in the country looks to also feature prominently. On today's press review for Ukraine Today, we take a look at how the Ukraine crisis has so far made headlines at Davos. So first, from the Moscow Times, Alexander Panin has written a piece that sheds some light on what Russia can expect at the forum. He writes that the Russian delegation will have their work cut out for them as they try to convince potential investors that despite a faltering economy, economic sanctions, and the illegal occupation of Ukraine, that Russia is still a good place to do business. That will likely be a tough sell, as the world's economic growth rate will slow to 3%, and Russia's is expected to contract as much as 5%. But while further outlooks for Russia remain grim, economic issues take second place to the crisis in Ukraine, which continues to make news headlines around the world. Next up, we look at a party that was thrown by Russia's VTB Bank on the eve of the forum's start. Bloomberg reports executives at the state-controlled Russian bank, which has cut hundreds of employees following U.S. and European Union sanctions, are betting a little jazz and vodka with the world's elite will dull the pain. But will that be enough? Even under economic sanctions, Russian business leaders are trying to make their presence felt at Davos, as evidenced by the fancy soiree thrown by VTB Bank. Bloomberg writes that potential investors will likely keep a low profile, while all delegates from the US and Europe will be skittish about doing business in Russia, recognizing that it's very far from business as usual. Well, that's all we have for today. Join us again tomorrow for another press review from our newsroom in Kyiv, Ukraine.